I'm talking to you. Podcast, the way to learn English, by talking about everything. Welcome to our podcast, everyone. I'm James, and I'll be your co-host today alongside my brilliant partner, Emma. Together, we're diving into one of the most universal topics out there, introducing yourself in English. Whether you're a beginner learning the language or someone who just wants to polish their conversational skills, this episode is designed for you.
Absolutely, James. And let me take a moment to introduce myself properly. Hi, listeners. My name's Emma, and I'm thrilled to join forces with James on this journey of self-expression through language. We all know how important it is to make a good first impression when meeting new people, whether it's at work, school, or even online. The way you present yourself can set the tone for an entire relationship. And that starts with mastering introductions.
You're right, Emma. A solid introduction isn't just about saying your name, it's about conveying confidence, personality, and sometimes even cultural context. Think about it. Every time you meet someone, those initial moments are crucial. They shape how others perceive you and lay the foundation for meaningful connections. That's why we're dedicating this podcast to exploring not only how to introduce yourself, but also why it matters so much.
Exactly. Plus, English has become such a global lingua franca. It's everywhere. From international business meetings to casual chats with travelers, knowing how to introduce yourself fluently opens doors to countless opportunities. But here's the thing. While the basics might seem simple, there's actually quite a bit of nuance involved depending on the situation. For example, introducing yourself at a formal event like a job interview requires a completely different approach than doing so at a party or networking mixer.
True. And that's where things get interesting. Throughout this episode, we'll break down everything from the essential components of a great introduction to advanced tips for making yours stand out. We'll cover practical examples, common mistakes to avoid, and even share personal anecdotes from our own experiences navigating these situations.
Yes, and don't worry, we won't leave anyone behind. If you're tuning in as a non-native speaker, we promise to keep explanations clear and accessible. Our goal is to empower you with tools you can immediately apply in real-life scenarios. By the end of this podcast, you'll feel more confident stepping up to say, "Hi, my name is," no matter where you are or whom you're talking to.
Before we dive deeper, though, let's talk briefly about why introductions are worth mastering. After all, they're often dismissed as something basic or trivial. But consider this. Studies show that humans form first impressions within seconds of meeting someone. In fact, some research suggests it takes less than 7 seconds for someone to decide what they think of you based on your appearance, body language, and, you guessed it, your words.
Wow, that's fast. It really highlights how critical those opening lines are. You want to make sure you're putting your best foot forward, especially if you're trying to build rapport or establish credibility. On top of that, being able to introduce yourself effectively helps reduce anxiety in social settings. When you have a go-to script or framework in mind, it takes the pressure off figuring out what to say next.
Couldn't agree more. So, buckle up, because we've got a lot to unpack. Over the course of this podcast, we'll explore everything from crafting the perfect elevator pitch to adapting your introduction for different audiences. We'll also touch on cultural considerations since English is spoken by millions around the world, each bringing their unique flair to communication.
And hey, If you ever feel stuck or unsure about anything, remember that practice makes perfect. Even native speakers stumble over introductions sometimes. What matters most is authenticity. You want to come across as genuine rather than rehearsed or robotic. Speaking of which, James, do you recall any particularly memorable introductions from your life?
Oh, absolutely. There was this one time during a university orientation week when I completely blanked on my last name. Can you believe that? Thankfully, everyone laughed it off and it turned into a funny icebreaker. Moments like that remind us that perfection isn't the goal, connection is.
I love that perspective. All right, folks. Now that we've laid the groundwork, let's jump into the meat of today's discussion. Stay tuned because by the end of this episode, you'll have all the tools you need to nail your next introduction. Shall we begin?
Let's do it.
All right, let's start with the basics. What exactly goes into a strong introduction? While it may vary slightly depending on the setting, there are certain core elements that remain consistent. Let's walk through them step by step.
Great idea. First and foremost, you need to state your name clearly. This seems obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people mumble or rush through this part. Your name is your identity, so take pride in sharing it. For instance, instead of muttering, hi, I'm James, try something like, hello, my name is James. See the difference?
Definitely. Clarity is key. Another tip is to enunciate your name slowly enough for the other person to catch it, especially if they're unfamiliar with it. If your name is unusual or difficult to pronounce, you might even offer a phonetic pronunciation guide. For example, my name is Emma. It rhymes with drama.
Good point. Now, after stating your name, the next step is to provide some context about who you are. Are you a student, a professional, someone passionate about a particular hobby? Sharing a little background information gives the other person a frame of reference and sparks potential conversation starters.
Exactly. Contextual details help tailor your introduction to the situation. For example, if you're at a job fair, you might say something like, I'm currently studying marketing at XYZ University, and I'm really interested in digital advertising. Meanwhile, at a casual gathering, you could opt for something lighter, like, I'm Emma, and I spend most of my free time hiking and reading sci fi novels.
That leads us nicely to the third element, enthusiasm. People respond positively to energy and warmth. Even if you're feeling nervous, channeling a friendly tone could go a long way. Smile while you speak. It genuinely makes a difference in how you sound.
Totally. Enthusiasm doesn't mean you have to fake excitement or oversell yourself, though. Authenticity still reigns supreme. Instead, focus on finding aspects of your introduction that genuinely excite you. Maybe you're proud of a recent achievement, or perhaps you're eager to learn something new from the person you're speaking to.
Right. Which brings us to another important aspect, asking questions. An introduction shouldn't feel like a monologue. Engaging the other person early on creates a two-way dialogue. After sharing your own info, follow up with something like, what about you? Or, how did you hear about this event?
Perfect segue, James. Asking questions shows curiosity and respect for the other person's presence. It shifts the spotlight away from you and invites them to contribute to the conversation. Plus, it takes some pressure off having to carry the whole interaction yourself.
Absolutely. Lastly, don't forget about body language. Nonverbal cues play a huge role in shaping first impressions. Maintain eye contact. Offer a firm handshake if appropriate, and use open gestures to convey friendliness and confidence.
All excellent points. To summarize, a great introduction typically includes five main components: stating your name clearly, providing relevant context, expressing enthusiasm, engaging the other person, and using positive body language. With these elements in place, you're well on your way to making a lasting impression.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Next, let's look at how to adapt these principles for different types of settings. Because as we mentioned earlier, not all introductions are created equal.
Well, listeners, we've reached the end of our deep dive into introducing yourself in English. Hopefully, you're walking away with a clearer understanding of what makes a great introduction and how to craft one that feels authentic to you.
Absolutely. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's connection. Every interaction is an opportunity to learn and grow, so don't stress too much about getting everything just right. Focus instead on being present, engaged, and true to yourself.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and we hope you found value in today's episode. Before we wrap up, we'd love to hear from you. Did you enjoy this episode? Share it with friends who might benefit from it. Leave us a comment. We'd love to know what you thought and what topics you'd like us to cover next. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us keep creating content that matters.
Take care, everyone, and happy introducing. Until next time, this is James.
And Emma, signing off. Bye for now.